Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah. I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same.
And welcome to this Monday NHL betting preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports. Brought to you by the one, the only first round collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire first round collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off, tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com. Use promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. Firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. It is good to be back. Hopefully everyone had a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Not quite. I wish Andre a Happy New Year. He corrected me. We still got another day before we get into that. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Lots of hockey on. Only 3 games on tonight. Lots of hockey tomorrow. 1 game on New Year's Eve, or on New Year's Day rather. And then the schedule picks back up. Good to be back. Before we get into dude, we took all last week off. There's so much to get into. We won't be able to get into all of it. 3 games in the NHL tonight that we will get into. Games start in 50 minutes. What? Well, first, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. I hope you had a good holiday so far.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good one so far. Can't complain. I got some quality time in, still working, obviously, but living the best life. I hope you did as well. You know, it's important to spend time with family, spend time with friends, loved ones, whoever is in your life that's special to you, especially this time of year. So year's wrapping up. Make sure you get some quality time in with everybody before it's officially 2025.
Absolutely love it. So in the interest of time, let's just dive right into it. Last night, a bunch of games on yesterday on a Sunday. Quickly go through it. The Sabres beat the Blues 4-2. Ducks beat the Oilers 5-3. I took out Dostal out of my fantasy lineup because he played the night before, but he played a back-to-back and got the victory. Good on him. Red Wings beat the Capitals 4-2. The Canadians sweep the Florida series, beating the Panthers rather handedly on Saturday, beating the Lightning yesterday 5-2. The Islanders lose to Pittsburgh 3-2. Senators beat the Wild 3-1. Flames lose to the Golden Knights 3-0. It was a 1-0 game for a long time, but end up losing 3-0. Stars beat the Blackhawks 5-1 in what was a huge game for them. And the Kings come back and beat the Flyers 5-4. So, Andre, it could be from yesterday. It could be the week that was. Whatever it is, what are you taking away from the NHL? I guess since we've been gone, since Christmas.
Yeah, it's been a lot of days since we really talked some NHL hockey. The thing I want to talk about, my future Western Conference champion, Colorado Avalanche, passed the Dallas Stars in the standings and points. Now, I understand they're still behind in points percentage. I know how that works. Whatever. They've won 4 in a row.
Yep.
The Stars 5-4-1 in their past 10. Not terrible, not great. Just kind of hanging around doing their thing. Another one of those teams that started really hot and just kind of, dragged along lately. They did pick up a nice big win yesterday in Chicago, 5-1. Scored the last 5 goals of that game. Before that, though, they had lost 3 of 4. All 3 losses at home, and one of them to a bad team. So, interesting race going on in the Central. We expected those two teams that I just mentioned, Colorado and Dallas, to make the playoffs, obviously. With the way Winnipeg's playing and continuing to play, with the way I know Minnesota's kind of hit a bit of a rut, but they're still in second. They still have a 4-point edge over Colorado, 5-point edge over Dallas. That third spot in the Central could be, pretty important. That top wild card, it's looking like one of them might get, could also be pretty important. That's a race that at least roughly halfway through the season looks like it's between Colorado and Dallas. I'm intrigued to see where that goes. And I just want to give a shout out to Joe in the comments. It is very Jover for us, but I said we weren't prescribing anything for the Rangers until 2025. So you have to come back in a couple of days to get the full diagnosis.
Yeah, dude.
That one.
I tried getting it out of Andre, man. He's got to wait till 2025. He needs time, and we got to give it to him, man. That's what family's for. We got to give them time when they need it. You know what I mean? And also, Joe, shout out, man. Glad you're watching. Appreciate you. Yeah, dude. Like, so as you know, like, over the last month or so, I have actually started covering the Dallas Stars for the Hockey Writers. So I've been watching this team extra close. And it's funny because, I specifically last year, we talk about the like depth of this team, right? And when Jake Ottinger is right, one of the best goaltenders in the league, the depth in this team, the defensive depth, offensive depth, this is, and then making our predictions coming into the new year. I can't remember what I predicted. What did I predict? Did I predict Dallas? Did I predict like Winnipeg? I can't remember who I predicted. You predicted Colorado. I can't remember what I said, but I certainly had Dallas up there. If not making it to the Cup Finals, I had them very close. It's time to recognize that this Dallas team is a different team than past years. Losing Joe Pavelski is like way bigger impact than you would have thought. Also, Tyler Seguin being injured, that guy, at the beginning of the year, Mason Marchment and Matt Duchene were both like two of the hottest point producers in the league. And since, Seguin's been out, that's completely been flipped on its head. And what's interesting about this race, Colorado, like you said, man, this team, it's funny because you say like, Colorado is still, and I will use quotes, way too top heavy. Yeah. Like Makar, McKinnon, and Rantanen are each getting like 3-4 points a night. And then, Letnin's doing his thing. But for the most part, it's just three guys getting all the points. And how sustainable is that? We also, not to mention the Mackenzie Blackwood signing, 5-year deal. They just trade him. They got their guy, apparently. Good for him, man. I'm happy for him because he's been kind of in no man's land for a while. I'm really curious to see. And like you said, man, Minnesota, like, I don't think they're going away. I think that they have given themselves such a large cushion. There's no way that the Wild miss the playoffs. If they do, I highly doubt it. Probably second, third in the Central. But these Central teams, maybe the Western Conference as a whole, but the Central teams, man, like they cannot play with fire because, like, I don't know. Calgary, 41 points, 1 point back of the Canucks in the last wild card spot. Utah, 4 points behind Vancouver, 5 points behind Dallas. St. Louis is right there. I don't think that Seattle has what it takes, but hey, they went on some crazy 9-game winning streak last year. You never know, in this league. But yeah, dude, Dallas is still a very, very good team. I could talk to you forever about like that game. When you beat a team like Chicago and you think, yeah, it's just Chicago. The Dallas Stars were in such a weird spot that it didn't matter. Do you know? So they scored 5 goals yesterday. That was like their second or third time in 20 games scoring more than 3 goals. They scored a power play goal yesterday. They were 1 for 7 on the power play. They scored 1. They're like 1 for 21 on the power play in the last 21. Like, the Dallas Stars are in a really weird place. And so, yeah, it was Chicago, but the opponent didn't matter. Like, they needed to find a way to win that game. All that being said, you're talking about like the Central, but even if you just look at the West specifically, I was writing a piece about the Stars earlier today, and I was thinking about this. Like, who does it matter in this division or in this conference, rather? And I'll ask you, Andre, like, does it matter where you finish in the West? Like, okay, number 1 seed, not just winning the division, but being the number 1 seed. You face Vancouver, still a good team. They're going through the difficulties right now. Maybe you face Calgary, but let's just say that the playoffs are the way they are right now. Where would you want to be? I feel like anywhere you finish in the West is a complete dogfight, no?
I feel like there's a spot you definitely want to avoid, and it's being the team that has to go to Vegas potentially 4 times.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's the most avoidable thing. Maybe I don't know if I'd put Winnipeg there yet. I don't think they're scary enough at home, even though they've been really good at home. But yeah, no, the West, I don't really think it's not like last year where you're like, oh, I want to play the Capitals. I want to play
the
Islanders. It's not like that. It's you don't want to go to Vegas 4 times in a 2-week stretch. And that's really it. Otherwise, you're just going to have to play good hockey no matter who you face. You're going to have to, travel well. You're going to have to perform in front of your home fans no matter who it is. It could be the Avs. It could be the Stars. It could be the Wild. It could be the Kings. Definitely could be the Kings. You never know with them. But no matter who you face, you're going to have to bring your A game. And it's not – I wouldn't say the East is exactly like that, nor was it like that last year. So
No, because I'm looking at it and it's like, okay, if the playoffs started right now, Vegas would play like Vancouver. I would give Vegas the edge there, but that's still a really tight series. Winnipeg would play Dallas. I think Winnipeg would win, but that would probably go 7 games. The Minnesota, Colorado, and then Kings and the Oilers. And listen, you know how much I hate giving the Kings praise. This Kings team is really good right now, and they were really good at this time last year. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, dude, I just think that the Central, like you make like a great point, the Central, but the West as a whole is just the who's who, man. That top 8 is loaded. I think, yeah, you could make obviously certain cases stronger than others, but you can make a case for any one of these 8 teams to go to the Cup final right now. I don't think there's a clear cut. I do think you're right that Vegas would probably be that like top team, but you can make a case for any of these teams right now. It's absolutely wild. So I'm not going to belabor on this point too long, because the game starts soon and we got one other topic to hit before we get to the games. But hey, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, go sit.
No, I'm not the shit, baby.
This is what it's all about right now. Parenting Live. Okay, can you give me a minute?
No.
Yeah, just wait a minute, okay? Oh my gosh. No, just straight up no. I will say, say hi.
Bye.
Hi. I will say, we talk about these teams and we talk about the bad a lot. So, by default, when the good happens, we got to bring up the good, man. And that is the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators. Like, these two teams right now, this is so crazy. I apologize. This is just parenting in real time. First of all, the Ottawa Senators, man, on the road trip from hell with the World Juniors going on in Ottawa right now. The Ottawa Senators are oh my goodness. Andre, talk about Montreal and Ottawa. Give me a sec. Talk about Montreal and Ottawa.
Yeah. Let's start with the Canadiens, the Patrick Laine Canadiens, if you will. On a bit of a roll, they've won 5 of their last 6. The lone loss 4-5 in Columbus. They're absolutely tearing it up, and it really starts with that offense. 6 goals against Buffalo, back-to-back against Detroit, 4, and then 9, the 4 against Columbus, obviously. 2 playoff teams, defending champs on one, team that just went back-to-back recently in the other. Sweep that 9-2. Montreal's on fire. They got 3 more road games coming up, starting with tomorrow. Get a nice little break before a back-to-back, but they just can't be stopped. And really, they just can't be stopped offensively. So this team, very 100, they could be dead even tomorrow. Maybe not going to happen, but that's a conversation for tomorrow, obviously, with that game in Vegas. They're on fire, though. Kudos to Montreal. This is the team. Maybe not to this extent, but we said they would be feisty. They're record-wise, they're right there. They're competitive. They're what we expected. They're the reason, or they're playing like a team that doesn't want their coach fired. Because remember, Marty St. Louis was about to get shown the door. So kudos to the Canadiens closing the year the right way, showing some growth. And with this Eastern Conference, they could very well, if they keep it up for another month. As for Ottawa, they are in that last playoff spot, 40 points on the year now, 19-5-2. Lost a couple games in Canada, but before that, they had won 6 in a row. They just beat the Wild on Sunday, so they're back in the win column. They're playing really good hockey. I know that's Mark's favorite team. I'm going to save a little bit more of that for him, but hey, shout out to, I guess they're different provinces, even though they're closer to each other. Shout out to 2 of Canada's Eastern teams.
Yeah, thank you, Andre, for holding it down, man. It's wild. Whenever my wife's not here, the whole house just falls apart. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah, dude. As I was saying, Ottawa Senators road trip from hell with the World Juniors going on, 9 straight on the road, huge win. You could feel it. Not only did you feel like they were kind of losing steam, lost pretty bad to Winnipeg the night before, up 2-0, end up losing 5-2. Both their goaltenders are hurt right now, and not even with them on the road trip, to my knowledge. They have 2 backup goaltenders there right now, and they're winning hockey games, like you said, beating Minnesota the other night 3-1. And this is what we need to see from Ottawa, is winning games 3-1, right? Is we know that they can score a bunch of goals, but can they win games when it's super close? So hey, listen, good for Ottawa. They're in a playoff spot right now, 1 point clear of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the last wild card spot. I wish that if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would play Toronto, but they won't. They would play the New Jersey Devils, and not because they're bad and I want them to play Toronto, but I miss that rivalry, man. I'm old enough to remember the Battle of Ontario in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I miss those days, man. And it would be awesome to see the Leafs and the Senators play again in the playoffs. As for Montreal, one of my favorite long shot bets was for Montreal to make the playoffs. I didn't think that they would necessarily make it. I think they were plus 750 to make the playoffs, if my memory serves correctly. I just felt that they were going to be in the mix all the way down to the end. And I was quickly being shown that wouldn't be the case. But, dude, we talked about it with Patrick Laine back in the lineup. This team is winning, man. 6-4 in the last 10 games. They didn't just beat Florida. They didn't just beat Tampa Bay. They, handedly beat them both. I believe that they beat Florida 4-0, beat Tampa 5-2 yesterday. This team has played really well. And, again, with Patrick Laine in, they've now upped their home record to 10-7-2. On the road, think about this. On the road, their record is 6-10-1, and they just won 2 games on the road in a row. So how bad that road record actually is. And it was 4-10-1 just a couple days ago, and now 6-10-1. So good on Montreal. Super happy to see them doing well. Listen, I'm not saying they're making it to the playoffs. I think with the competition that is ahead of them, Columbus has proven to be a handful. We know Philadelphia is going to hang around. Pittsburgh, we didn't even talk about Pittsburgh, what this team has been doing lately. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. And then Ottawa, Tampa Bay. I do think the competition above them is too much for Montreal to overcome. However, 5 points out of a playoff spot. And maybe this is a conversation for another day, and it kind of segues into our next topic before we get into the games. But if I had to give you Montreal, Detroit, or Buffalo, Detroit has 32 points. Buffalo has 32 points, both sharing last place in the Atlantic. Montreal, 35 points. If I had to give you Montreal, Detroit, or Buffalo, I would take Montreal. No? Maybe Detroit? Maybe?
You have to, right?
I think so.
I mean, yeah, we'll see how Detroit progresses in this new era.
Yeah, in the new era. And speaking of, what a professional segue that was. Speaking of new era, Derek Lalonde, Lalonde, I don't know, Mr. Derek, I apologize for butchering your last name. He has been let go, fired over the weekend. And you gotta love this, right? How you can't trade players until 12:01 Saturday morning. From the beginning, from 12:01 Christmas Eve to 12:01 Saturday morning, no trades, no waivers, no moves, no signings, no nothing. But on Boxing Day, you can fire your coach, no problem. If that's not the NHL in a nutshell, I don't know what it is. But Derek Lalonde fired out of Detroit on Boxing Day, instantly being replaced by Todd McLellan. McClellan, rather. I have my thoughts on this, Andre, but I would love to know what you think about this firing and then this signing.
Yeah. So, I mean, Detroit, we expected, and obviously this happens every year with at least one of those Atlantic teams. We talk about this. We expected Detroit to be better, right? And for good reason. Last year they had an identity. Last year they probably should have made the playoffs. They just completely fell apart and then missed it by a tiebreaker. We thought this Red Wings team, with the moves they made in the offseason, I know you were a little off-put by their goaltending situation, their goaltending by committee situation, for good reason. So, but we thought the offense would be good enough where 6-5 games would happen, 5-4 games would happen. You just have to be on the winning side or at least pick up a point in those. What's happened instead is that they can't score, which is weird. This Red Wings team just wasn't winning games. They weren't really competing. The PK is terrible. It's 31st. They're not getting shots on goal. They're 31st in that. It's just been a mess. The roster's bad because guys are underperforming or whatever. And we're like, this guy got the raw end of the deal. You know, he deserved better. He deserved a better chance. He'll find another job somewhere. he will be or have a better record, better performance. He'll move on and to find greener pastures. This isn't one of those cases. I think you look at Detroit's problems, especially from last year. Yes, obviously, whenever a coach gets fired, you can pin some of it on the players because good players don't get coaches fired. Good rosters don't get coaches fired because they win games. But when you're not scheming up shots with that talent, the team that we saw last year that consistently lit the lamp, when you can't figure out anything on the PK, those are X's and O's problems for the most part. And you just see this team night in and night out, at least before the coaching change, not really compete. They would lose 2-1 to, Buffalo and Boston and whoever. And it was just lifeless. It was boring. It was whatever. So they needed a spark. They needed something new. The beauty of the Eastern Conference wildcard race is that you don't know who that last team is going to be. And it could be Detroit. Hot spring like they did last year before it all came crumbling down. I think that was the goal with bringing McClellan in. McClellan, he said it himself, he's never been on this side of a midseason coaching change. He's been the one out the door, not the one coming in.
Yeah.
He said it himself, the timing's awkward. Obviously, with everything frozen, you don't really get to practice or do anything. He's just going to come in and, or he did just come in and start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what's stuck. You got to win. So obviously something worked. The next next 2 weeks, it's going to be some growing pains for Detroit. But there's promise they can finish the season strong. Probably won't make the playoffs at this point. They're too far behind, you would think, in theory. But they could build momentum towards next year, probably reestablish what we thought they had ending last season.
Yeah. I mean, the good news for Detroit, and I know that I just pumped Ottawa's tires, and I actually really like the way that Ottawa has been playing, and I think that Ottawa is a better roster than Detroit. But luckily for Detroit, Ottawa has to prove themselves as well. Like, it's not like, I feel like in the West, what we talked about, those 8 teams in the West right now have all proven themselves to be playoff teams. It's the Calgarys and Seattles and St. Louis's that have to prove that they can knock out those 8 teams. I feel like Ottawa hasn't yet made themselves that. Like, they still have to prove that they belong. So teams like Detroit and Pittsburgh and the Islanders, there is room to nudge them out. So that I do think goes for Detroit. I find this interesting because as far as Todd McClellan goes, I don't really know if this is a good fit. I don't really know what this necessarily does long term. All I know is Todd McClellan is a proven coach who should not have gotten fired from the Kings, in my opinion. I know that the Kings are doing what they're doing. They're one of the best teams in the league, in a long list of very good teams in the league. I know what the Kings are doing now, but I still did not like that firing. I didn't think it made sense, and I still don't like it, despite what the Kings are doing. So McClellan, no matter where he's been, San Jose and Los Angeles, he's been a winning coach. That's great. We'll see what happens with. Sorry about that. My bad. I hate every coach. If you watch the show for 5 minutes, you know that most of the time when coaches get fired in this league, I hate it and I think it's stupid. This one to me does make sense. I mean, he's been on this team coaching for 2.5 years now. We're just about at the halfway mark, right? We are at the halfway mark, basically. Maybe, yeah. 2.5 years. I do think we can have another conversation about the roster construction. I don't love it, specifically defensively. I think some signings don't make sense. Some trades don't make sense. Players they let go, players they brought in doesn't make sense, specifically defensively. That being said, this roster is good enough to challenge for one of those 2 wild card spots, specifically the last one. And they've just underperformed all year long. And I do think that Steve Yzerman should be given a little bit of credit. Now, there's a lot of conversation in Detroit right now of how much leash do we give Steve Yzerman. Like, we know he's a legend. We know he was great both as a player and as a, builder of a cup team in Tampa Bay, right? But Derek Lalonde was the head man who saw a collapse. Like, Detroit should have made the playoffs last year. Detroit should not have missed the playoffs last year. And the fact that this didn't happen back in May shows that Stevie Y was willing to give Lalonde one more shot. So we'll see what happens. I do think this was the right move, and we'll see if Todd McClellan was the right hire. All right, 17 minutes until the puck drops in Florida. Let's get right to it. The New York Rangers are in Florida. Plus 162 on the money line are the New York Rangers. Minus 196 are the Panthers at home. Minus 1.5 for Florida is plus 130. Plus 1.5 for the Rangers, minus 160. The over is 5.5 at minus 134. And the under is plus 110. I know we're not talking about the Rangers' future until after the new year, but you got to give me something here, bro. Rangers, Panthers in Florida. What do you got?
Yeah, why would I not give you the obvious? Besides the fact that this game starts very soon, so we kind of got to get the pick in. The Rangers also make me want to cry and make noise, Boston, so I understand. Panthers minus 1.5 here. Keep it simple. I mean, yeah, it's just the Rangers are getting just absolutely abused lately.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, man. It is tough to watch. And this is a conversation that I'm looking forward to having after the new year because I still don't understand. Did the players quit on the coach? Did the coach quit on the players? Or did Chris Drury quit on everybody and just sink this team? It's a very interesting conversation to say the least. I'm right there with you. I do think Florida minus 1.5 as well. And I like 5.5 makes it tricky, but I kind of like the under here at plus money. I just don't think the Rangers can score right now. And I just don't. I feel like, unfortunately, this feels like a 3-1, 4-1 game. This just kind of feels that that's the way it's going to go. Moving on to a line that continues to baffle me. And if we had more time, I would really like, I know, okay, Nashville plus 106 on the road, Winnipeg minus 128 at home. This is the Amazon Prime Monday game in Canada for those of you that are up here along with me. Minus 1.5 for Winnipeg is plus 186. Minus 1.5 for the Predator, or plus 1.5, sorry, for the Predators, minus 235. The over is 5.5 at minus 128, and the under is plus 104. I know that Vegas does this thing where they have lines that no one understands and people bet in a way that I don't understand. And it ends up, they end up being right at the end of the day. I know that happens, but for the life of me, I can't understand why Winnipeg is not minus 170 favorites here. Like, what am I missing, man? I don't understand. Winnipeg being minus 128 at home feels like free money, which is dangerous because it's never free. We've seen this bite us before. But, dude, tell me how I'm not betting Winnipeg on the money line tonight. How?
I can't.
Yeah.
Vegas 12 Predators. Like, have you noticed lately? They've been quite literally, they were last in the NHL standings. Yes. Either tied with or below the Blackhawks. I don't remember at this point. This was a couple weeks ago. Favored or barely underdogs against it was the Flames game. December 10th, 2024, at home against the Calgary Flames. They were minus
I
183.
couldn't believe
The
it.
Calgary Flames are 1 point
I
out the
know.
playoff spot. The Predators were minus 183. Predictably, they lost. Predictably, we did not pick them because we're smarter than that. Vegas loves this.
Well, what was the game the other
I
night,
don't
dude?
get it. They were
What was the game against St. Louis, right? Didn't they play St. Louis and they were minus money against St. Louis too?
Yeah, Friday they were minus 141. Yeah, Blues money line was his best bet. Against the Canes, I think they were plus 100. Granted, they won that one, but they were minus 110. I think they were pick 'em against the Kings. They were minus 160 against the Penguins. I don't get it. They've literally been the worst team in the league. The Jets, they've won 5 of 6. They're winning these games pretty solidly, pretty comfortably too, home or away. Been one of the best teams in the league all season long. I know they lost to the Predators 4-1 in November, but with the way Nashville's played this year, you can't expect them to beat many teams multiple times this season. So it's a trap. I'm all about it. Call me Admiral Akbar.
Yeah. And you know what, too? Like, the thing is, too, about that, I remember that loss. It was a Saturday. They lost 4-1 to Nashville. And the big reason, if you remember, that was when Winnipeg was rolling, man. They were like 15-1 or 16-2 or something, and it was inevitable that they were going to have a night like the one that they did. I just think this is simple. There's no need to belabor it. I just think Winnipeg minus 128. I originally thought that maybe the odds were like this because maybe Hellebuck wasn't starting, but he is. So give me Winnipeg. I also like the under, a bunch of 5.5s tonight. I like the under plus 104 as well. All right, last game of the night. Utah is in Seattle. Oh, back to the Winnipeg game for 2 quick seconds. We got to throw out, man. These two guys are lighting it up every night. Kyle Connor plus 145. Mark Scheifele plus 200. We got to mention those two putting the puck in the net. Some long shots that aren't actually that much long shots. Kyle Connor for 2+ points plus 190. Mark Scheifele 2+ points plus 235. I think both of those are absolute beautiful. So I will be on that tonight for sure. Utah and Seattle minus 154, the Hockey Club on the road. Plus 128, Seattle is at home. Minus 1.5 for Utah's plus 156. Plus 1.5 for Seattle. Minus 194. Over 6.5 plus 106. Under 6.5. Minus 130. Andre, I apologize, bro. What do you got? Seattle, Utah.
You are perfectly fine. This is easily the most interesting matchup of the night. And it's the first time these teams are meeting all season, so that's also an added bonus. I will say, and this totally influenced my pick, Utah has been money on the road this season, which is weird because when it started, they came out on fire at home. And we expected Salt Lake City to be a unique home ice advantage. We see it with the Utah Jazz. You talk about the NBA, where generally speaking, it's a tougher place to visit, even when the Jazz are bad. It's kind of that mountainous vibe like Denver that helps them, that plays into it. It's also the fact they don't have many pro sports to, they don't have many alternatives as far as professional sports. So they go all out for their team. Instead, the Hockey Club travels. They make their money. They're 11-6-2 in away games this season. They've won. I have to pull up the exact number, but they have a nice winning streak on the road as well. At least 5 games. I want to say it's 7. It is 7. So that's the main reason I'm picking them to win this one. Seattle, they beat Vancouver last time out. They've been all right this season. I know they had that 5-game losing streak recently. A lot of awful offensive performances. That's kind of been the norm for the Kraken, especially when they lose. And I think Utah can shut them down. So give me the Hockey Club. I'm probably going to take the under here. I'm expecting a low-scoring game. I don't think Seattle has more than 2 goals in them tonight. And, 3 or 4 from the Hockey Club. Excuse me. Hockey Club's going to be enough to take this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Vancouver has some injuries they're dealing with right now and rumors of internal turmoil. But to give up that game to Seattle yesterday was just a disaster. Like, absolutely unacceptable. Cannot happen. I don't trust the Seattle team at all, man. Like, it's tempting. Plus 128 at home. Utah, like you said, man, 6-2-2 in their last 10 games, been playing very, very well. Utah is a hard team, man. They're a hard out. Like, they're going to give it to you every single night. They might not win, but they're going to bring it. And I love Utah here. What was your final pick? Like, did you take Utah?
I took Utah on the under.
The under. Did you take -1.5 for Utah?
I didn't. I think I just said Utah money line. I'd probably take the 60-minute line before I took the money line.
Yeah, and I do think that the under is the play here. Even if you don't take a side, I do think the under is the play, but I do feel like Utah gets this win. A couple quick props to throw out. They're very easy to find. Clayton Keller plus 170, Dylan Genther plus 195. I love both of those guys to score tonight. All right, Rangers, Panthers in 7 minutes. Let's throw it out. Our best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. Shout out to the individuals who have used our promo code over the last couple weeks. My buddy Chris is telling me all about it. Appreciate you guys telling First Round Collectibles that we sent you and that you watched the show. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you all. And again, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off your order. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Andre, what is your best bet? Sorry, dude. I don't hear you. I don't know if that's.
It's me. I did the thing again.
Yeah, that's all good. Got you.
No, I'm going to surprise you here. I'm not going to be self-loathing. I'm not just going to detonate immediately.
Proud of you.
I'm going to take the layup here. Winnipeg Jets -125.
Yeah. That can't not be like that. Like, it has to be on there. Yeah. And again, dude, if Vegas is tricking us, trick us. Fine.
I'll take that.
I can't not take that. So I will be self-loathing for you on your behalf. I personally don't care one way or the other, except that you're my bro and I care about you and your, mental health when it comes to your sporting franchises, especially since a certain running back may or may not have hit 2,000 yards yesterday, but it's no big deal. We don't need to bring that up. It's completely pointless. Florida Panthers. I saw a funny meme that was a picture of the Giants general manager, like a clip from the Hard Knocks episode, and it was on the phone, and it was just underneath it was like, no, he definitely won't run for 2,000 yards or anything like that. It was kind of funny, but anyway, Panthers -1.5 plus 130. We talked about it not that long ago. Pretty self-explanatory. Florida, I'll tell you what, man. Florida hasn't really been blowing the doors off of anybody lately. They haven't really been playing that great. I love you, Joe. I know. I didn't have to. I couldn't control myself. I'm working on it. I haven't been, dude, therapy is expensive lately, bro. I haven't been working on myself lately. I'm trying my best over here. But Florida hasn't been playing that well either, dude. So we'll see what happens. But I do take Panthers -1.5. Family play. I'm thinking either the under in Seattle, Utah, 6.5 seems pretty high, or the under in Winnipeg, Nashville. I'll send it to you. What do you think?
I like the under for the last game more personally,
Okay.
so I will take that 6.5.
Plus 624 over here on FanDuel. What do you got?
Wow, plus 620 right here.
Oh,
4 cents. Right.
this
Game of inches.
game
Mark,
it.
you know what's funny? Actually,
Yeah, what?
since you brought up the Eagles, when I was helping Jumpstart Cass's car earlier, there was a dude on his balcony in an Eagles jersey, and when I was done, like the guy was watching us and giving us tips, whatever, unsolicited advice. When I was done, the guy just finished helping me. I just let out a very hearty Eagles suck straight at the dude.
Oh,
Why?
what did he do?
Supporting the worst team in the league. Why did I do that, you ask? Why not? I want to feel something,
The guy just helped you.
Yeah. I mean, I said thank you. I appreciate it. I'm like, have a good day and all that. I just saw us. Eagles suck. I just had to let it out.
That's so funny, man. Listen, dude. I just, again, I'm a huge Philly fan, huge Eagles fan, but like I'm north of the border, right? I've been to Philly. I've been to games there. I know the vibe. I've been to lots of sporting events in Philly, not just football. I've been to hockey games there, baseball games, basketball games, the whole deal. So I'm not in it though. Like I don't live there. I'm not like in it, but I just feel like times like this, dude, just be a brother and just hate the Cowboys. You don't need to hate on us like this.
I hate everybody. There's enough
Just hate the Cowboys.
I hate our whole division right now. I hate the Giants. I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Eagles. I hate Washington. I hate them all.
Dude,
all 4 NFC teams.
Sorry, dude. Side note, my odds just jumped way down to plus 612. -1.5 Panthers jumped down to plus 126. A minute before.
The game's 30 seconds in, I imagine.
Yeah.
30
seconds in. 30 seconds in, and they're just like, okay, this is going to be -1.5, no doubt. Can't lose our money here. That's so
Rangers
funny.
usually down at this point of the game anyway, so it's honestly encouraging that it's still 0-0.
Oh, man, that's so funny. Well, listen, man, the games have started. We're going. My son is distracted. Let's take a second here. We're going to be back tomorrow, earlier in the day, so please join us tomorrow. Can't wait for that show. Lots of games on tomorrow. I'm pretty sure games start earlier. Yeah, games start at 12:30 tomorrow, so we'll be on early, and we'll talk about all the games tomorrow night. Quickly, what are your thoughts on the World Juniors so far, man? It's been a fun tournament. Not lots, but enough, like upsets and some, twists and turns.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's been some crazy games, a couple big upsets. USA lost the game they weren't supposed to. Canada lost the game they weren't supposed to. Slovakia and Latvia advanced today, I'm pretty sure. It's been eventful. It's been a good tournament so far. Obviously, the granddaddy of them all, if you will, not the Rose Bowl, but USA Canada New Year's Eve is tomorrow, so that'll be good to watch. It will decide Group A. More than likely will decide Group A.
Yes.
Random scenario where it doesn't, but yeah, it's been crazy so far, and we haven't even gotten to the brackets. So everyone except for Switzerland, good job. You showed up. You played great. The Swiss team needs to get it together, but.
Dude, well, like there's some really compelling matchups, like you said, like Kazakhstan today, man, down 4-2. I watched the majority of that game, down 4-2 to Slovakia. Slovakia comes back, Kazakhstan comes back, makes the game of it. Latvia losing to Germany early, they come back, they win, like you said. Those two teams advance on. I think a sneaky game because you're right, like Canada, America. 7:30. It's the headliner tomorrow night. Main stage. headliner. It's going to be an incredible game. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be exciting. The Stars are on at the same time, so I got to find a way to pay attention to both at the same time. So that's a huge game. Underrated game. And if you go back to our conversation with Lucas a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Sweden and Czechia, right? And he was saying how he actually really liked the Czechia team. Czechia and Sweden, both undefeated. They play tomorrow at 5:30. That's going to be a really fun game too, because whoever wins that game wins the pool. Whoever wins Canada, US wins the pool. And of course, in the World Juniors, if you win the pool, you get a bye in the quarterfinals. So huge matchups back to back tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's Sweden, Czechia game. And Czechia, yeah, it's Czechia. That game is the top overall seed as well. So when you talk about later,
good point.
Group play, could be a cakewalk to the finals, because right now it might be US in semis.
Oh, man.
Big shake. Yeah.
Dude, honestly, man, there's something about, like, we experienced this as hockey fans with the World Juniors, and we're like pretty nerdy hockey fans, right? So we watch the World Juniors, but I know in Canada, we take, and I say we, generally speaking, I'm not objective. I am a Canada fan, but I don't take it as hard, I guess, just watching. Canada losing to Latvia the other night, bro, like, they wanted the House of Commons to meet. Twitter was just on fire. Like, they just live and die. My point is there's nothing like Canada, America in best on best action. We haven't seen it in the Olympics for a while now. We haven't seen it really. I know World Championships in May, but that's different. Half of the best players are playing in the playoffs, so it's not quite the same, but there's nothing like it. So tomorrow night's going to be fun, and if Canada and US meet in the semis, dude, that's going to be ruthless. But everybody, as always, thank you so much for joining us. If you're still off, I encourage you guys, if you're still off, you're not working during the day right now, you still got time off for the holidays, watch World Juniors, man. I know Switzerland, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Finland might not seem super compelling tomorrow, but trust me, man, it's really fun hockey. Anything can happen. So we encourage you to watch it. We will be back tomorrow morning at some point. Pay attention to the Twitterverse. Follow me I changed it. What's my Twitter? Oh, at Solder on Pucks. And I'll let everybody know when we are jumping on. We will be back tomorrow. Until then, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, good luck on your bets. Hope you place that Rangers bet. If you missed it, I'm sure. What's it live now? What are we at? Oh my goodness.
So, you know.
-1.5 is now -156. So hope you jumped on that. Hope you jumped on that early, or maybe you wait a minute, hope the Rangers score, or maybe just forget about it and just start betting on the later games. But everybody, we appreciate you very much. Thank you for watching. Shout out Total Apex Sports. Thank you guys, as always, for having us on board. We appreciate you. Lots of interesting football content coming out over there. Basketball as well. Shout out to First Round Collectibles. Promo code SportsAddict, 10% off your order. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Andre, have a great night. Everybody, thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow.